Hello, everyone. I'm San, and you're listening to San Huyen Podcast. How have you all been? Are you doing well? Is it cold where you are right now? In Manchester, spring has slowly started to arrive these past few days, so the sun rises very early in the morning. Even though it's still quite cold, even colder than the gloomy days, the sunshine is truly beautiful. Podcast episode 69 just aired and was loved by many of you, probably because I shared quite a few real-life examples. And today will be no different. I'll give you examples, practical connections from my own life, about why making the right choice is more important than hard work and how to make those right choices. So, welcome back to today's podcast with San. To start with today's topic, San would like to recount a story that I don't know if you've heard before, but I've been told it a few times. It's about a hammer tap worth $10,000. This is the story of a ship repairman, folks. A ship broke down, and the owner hired many mechanics to fix it, but none of them could. One day, a famous old ship repairman was called in. After a quick look, he confidently opened his toolbox, took out a small hammer, and gave a strong tap on the machine's body. And miraculously, the ship started working normally again. The owner was overjoyed, thanked him, and asked how much he owed the old man. After hearing the figure of $10,000, the owner angrily asked, "You're charging $10,000 for one hammer tap." And the repairman replied, "The hammer tap only cost $1, but finding where to tap cost $9,999. Here, you can see that this example, San thinks, is very typical of how choosing correctly is more important than hard work. And to make choices, we need knowledge, an understanding of what we're doing. And in our daily lives, it's the same, folks. Many times, you ask yourselves why you work so hard, constantly, but you still don't see much progress or change. So if you ask San whether hard work or choice is more important, I still have to realistically share that choice is more important. But the hardest part is how to make the right choice that suits yourself. San would like to go back to 2017, before I decided to move to Saigon. That city changed my life. Back then, I was a university student in Hanoi, and of course, I knew that if I stayed in Hanoi, I would still have a job. I would still work in marketing, and it would probably be fine, but it certainly would never be like it is now. We cannot deny the truth that Ho Chi Minh City is the largest economic center of Vietnam. Compared to Hanoi, Saigon has a stronger economic scale and development rate, with great potential and success in attracting many domestic and international investments. And specifically, when it comes to the advertising and marketing industry, to have a developing environment, it definitely has to be Ho Chi Minh City. During that time, I did my research and preparation. It wasn't just a sudden whim. And especially considering my personality, I felt that in a more open and friendly environment, I would be able to develop more easily. And the further south you go, to those regions with pleasant weather, you'll notice how easygoing the people are. In 2015, I also had the chance to visit Saigon for a while. I felt that people here lived quite comfortably and at ease. Hanoi, of course, might not be as easygoing, but Hanoi also has its own charm, you know. I've shared about this before. Of course, each person will have their own suitable choice. Some choose Da Nang, Nha Trang, some choose to live abroad. But at that time, in 2017, Ho Chi Minh City was the most correct choice for me. And the decision in 2017 created the San of today, a leap in development, becoming a content creator with nearly 2 million followers across all platforms and tens of millions of listens and views annually. I don't think I could have gone this far, folks, if I had continued to stay in Hanoi. It's not certain I would have come this far. Another right decision was in 2019 when I decided to quit my full-time job to become a content creator, a YouTuber. At that time, it was incredibly risky, you know, because, after all, my job was quite stable in the industry, and I had certain connections. Even after quitting, a few people still asked me to come back to work, of course, offering very good salaries. But the decision to become a full-time YouTuber in 2019 was the best decision of my life. Frankly, if San had kept working in marketing and content at a company from 2019 until now, 2024, I might have been in a higher position already, probably a manager, because in 2019, San was already a leader. And I am very confident that if I had stayed in a company, I would also have had certain career developments. However, I would never have had such wonderful experiences as becoming a content creator. Especially after COVID, my work presented so many opportunities for development, not just simple money-making, but also new experiences. I got to travel to many countries. I got paid to use cosmetics, to attend events, to travel, to do what I love. And of course, with this job, I can completely share my thoughts and feelings with so many people out there without needing permission from any boss in any company. This job gives me a lot of freedom, and I love that. Of course, I'm not saying I wasn't diligent. I worked very hard to get to where I am today. And I believe that those of you listening to this podcast are also very diligent in your daily lives. But if you are dissatisfied with your current life, perhaps you need to make different choices. And now is the time for us to consider what decisions I should make. And actually, to make decisions, we really need knowledge. And where does knowledge come from? From understanding yourself and knowing where you are in this world. To make the right choices in life, we absolutely need knowledge. It's impossible not to have knowledge, everyone. Right now, no matter what profession you're in, strengthen your knowledge in that field. Don't just go to work and simply perform tasks assigned by your boss, find opportunities for yourself. Nobody will hand you opportunities, I'm telling you. If you keep listening to those online gurus who teach you how to get rich, it's not going to happen, folks. When it comes to getting rich, you have to believe in yourselves and find your own path. If others are teaching you how to get rich, they are only getting rich based on the money you give them. People who genuinely earn money won't easily share their methods with you because they know it might work for them, but not necessarily for you. Everyone has a different vision and mindset. That's why San really wants you to truly research deeply and thoroughly, and also have a vision for the industry you're working in. For me, because I'm in marketing, especially social media, I research very carefully about future opportunities, like starting a YouTube channel, how I'll earn money from it later, and how I'll build my brand. All of that requires knowledge. To maintain a YouTube channel for several years until now, still getting consistent views, and even opening other channels, it takes a lot of knowledge, folks. It's not just, oh, suddenly I'll record something and it's done. To make people remember you under a certain image, it's a long-term plan. So the first thing we need is to thoroughly research the industry you're working in and pursuing, and at the same time, research related industries as well. For example, besides marketing, I also researched business. And the creation of my notebook brand, Besso, was also a practical exercise for me during my business research. I found it very interesting and cool. Why not create a product for practice to see how I would manage cash flow, capital, break-even point, raw materials, and everything else? How I would balance and control it. Besso is where I practiced and learned more, not just about marketing, but also about business. And after you have certain savings, start looking into investments, where to put money so it can generate more money. And usually, we find opportunities based on our understanding within the industry we are pursuing. San still thinks you shouldn't try to understand every industry, folks. We don't have enough time, and trying to understand everything ultimately leads to knowing nothing. So, for the industries you choose, pick what you're interested in, and then delve deep into it so you can identify suitable opportunities according to the current trends. For example, now you can see that AI is developing very strongly, so you should learn about jobs that AI cannot replace. Most jobs that AI can do now, you shouldn't focus on anymore. I know what I should dedicate my energy to. And the second thing to make the right choices is that you must truly understand yourself. After deeply researching your industry, now you need to see how much you can meet and what opportunities you are suited for. You might identify quite a few different opportunities, but what do you have that aligns with the goals and dreams you've set? And this is when you'll need to be extremely diligent to understand yourself. And San thinks this is when we need to be very serious about understanding ourselves better. Understanding oneself, I think, isn't something too grand, folks, but it requires experience. Most children who are a bit overprotected by their parents from a young age often don't know what they like because they lack experience. They always make decisions based on their parents choose schools, parents choose majors, parents even find jobs for them through acquaintances, or simply inherit the family business. If the father is a doctor, the child also becomes a doctor. Gradually, that child doesn't understand themselves. They don't know what they're doing, they just know they need to obey others. That's why, later on, they lack the ability to make their own decisions. And this is precisely what San wants to emphasize. When you understand yourself, you will be able to make decisions very quickly and firmly. You know what you need to do. This is the moment you understand yourself. And of course, we don't need to force ourselves to understand ourselves 100%, folks, because understanding oneself will be a lifelong quest until we die. Because life is always evolving, and life will always bring new experiences. Through those new experiences, you keep finding a different version of yourself. Naturally, there are core things inside that you need to discover and accept. For example, your strengths and weaknesses, your unique qualities. You'll need to accept everything about yourself, even if it's not perfect. As San shared, I was a very stubborn girl, but stubbornness also has its good sides because I have my own opinions. And if others want to persuade me, they need to provide specific evidence and convince me logically, not just, oh, listen to me, without giving me a reason why they want me to listen. And especially, I don't like flattery. I'm someone who can't flatter or try to be overly sweet, folks. Lately, I've learned to be a little asterisk bit more polite, but honestly, not much. It means I don't like having to flatter or ingratiate myself. Or going out for drinks and parties to build relationships. I can't do that. In the past, when I worked, I rarely participated in those drinking sessions or parties. I didn't fit in. That's not my work style. My work style is that you have to have competence. You have to earn my respect, not try to become close over drinks or try to arrange everything. I truly don't like that. And I know that's a weakness for me because, in Vietnam, generally, that culture is too prevalent, the flattery, the factionalism, working more based on emotions than logic. Even now, when collaborating with many different agencies, San still feels that the working style of quite a few agencies in Vietnam is very impulsive, not truly professional. San also had the opportunity to collaborate with agencies in London and some other foreign countries. They work incredibly professionally. Some agencies in Vietnam force KOLs to say this and that, but honestly, who understands the audience best? The content creator must be the one who understands the audience best and knows what to say to bring the brand closer to the audience in the most relatable way. It's not like if you tell me to say this, I'll say it. So when working with foreign agencies, they extremely respect my content creation style. They never interfere. They only want to share their briefs, but the briefs are only about the message. As for the specifics, I'm given the freedom to create as I wish, and I feel that is respect for my intellectual labor. And this cannot be avoided because, generally, our culture is a collective community, so there's a certain closeness, but following that is factionalism. I'll prefer your idea because you're closer to me, not because your idea is more convincing. And I don't like that. There's no way I'll mix emotions with work like that. And I understand my personality. That's why I will choose better things for myself. So pay attention to everything around you in your life. See what your strengths and weaknesses are as a person, and with those strengths and weaknesses, what kind of environment are you suited for? Here, it's not just about money-making opportunities, but also about putting yourself in an environment that brings you suitable development, meeting the right people so you can grow together. But if you choose wrong, if you put yourself in a place where people don't give you a chance to develop, don't give you an environment to grow, and don't appreciate your contributions, then no matter how diligent you are, you will forever stay stuck in that place. That's the truth. So what San wants to say here is that you absolutely must understand yourself, especially your personality. What kind of person am I in relationships? What kind of person am I at work? Am I disciplined or lazy? If I'm lazy, I need to have smarter and faster ways of working than others. Am I suited for teamwork as an employee, or am I suited to be a boss? Being a boss isn't easy, folks. Being a boss comes with a lot of responsibility. Many of you might think you want to be a boss, but no, not everyone is suited to be a boss, folks. The more I understand my personality, the more I know what I should choose in life. Many people feel unhappy and dissatisfied. Why? Because you choose things that aren't suitable for you but still keep doing them. A friend of mine, she doesn't like communicating with clients too much because she's a bit introverted. Yet she ended up choosing a sales job, always having to travel, always meeting clients, and always feeling exhausted when she gets back. So you're making choices like that. And if you choose a wrong option that you don't like at all, how can you develop with that option? At the very least, you need to have a suitable connection with it, you need to like it. Only then can you develop over time. But choosing what you like or what's suitable isn't enough. We need to move on to step 3, which is to ask yourselves what value this choice can bring. Firstly, secondly, thirdly, you might have good ideas, but you need to aim for something very important, the value you can bring in this work. For example, when I worked at a company doing marketing for a brand, the value San could bring was to bring the company's brand closer to customers, thereby increasing sales and revenue for the company. In return, I could receive a good salary and bonuses from the company. That's also value. Compared to the work of a content creator, the value I bring, I feel, is not just money. When I sit here recording this podcast, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are listening to these words, and each of them can receive a certain value. And perhaps only a few of them start wanting to live better, they start planning, they start making choices more suitable for themselves, they develop themselves, they live better. And those are incredibly enormous values that a job San did before could never bring. I have a young follower who has been following me since 12th grade. After graduating from university, she started working at a company and became my partner. And she has shared a lot about how San has changed her, and it's truly miraculous to have someone who can be by your side for many years, even without meeting, yet have such a positive influence. So this is similar when you think about what you're doing. Do you see what value this choice brings? Because San personally still thinks about long-term matters, following a long-term path. We need to consider what value the choice we make can bring to others, to the community. And of course, when you bring value to others, you will receive value in return. So when we have looked at ourselves, looked at the industry you're working in, we will need to further consider the value you can bring when you make that choice. Because no matter how hard you try or how diligent you are, if the value you bring doesn't change, it will always remain the same. Nothing will develop further. Like a farmer, for example, they have a watermelon farm several hectares large, and annually they will have a certain output. In that case, if they understand the industry and find some opportunities, they can completely export watermelons to a country with higher demand and sell them for a greater value. And they understand their farm and the quality of their watermelons very well to compare with another country, why it would be paid a higher price. And at the same time, in terms of value, it can provide a new food source for a country, for many people. And by increasing the scale over time, there will be better profits, as well as focusing on the quality of the watermelons, the quality of transportation, costs, and everything else, which will, of course, bring a lot of profit to the business. The difference between a farmer and a businesswoman is like that. It's about making the right choices. Otherwise, day after day, we just farm watermelons and sell them around the market at the same price. We just stop there, and year after year, we work hard like that, but there isn't much development. And finally, San wants to share with you that it would be better if we look further, look beyond everything to make our own choices. If we look too closely, we cannot encompass everything and cannot identify the choices we have and will have. San still thinks there are always opportunities for everyone. I believe that, folks. Don't think others have taken all your opportunities. No, there are still so many, folks, especially in Vietnam right now, a developing country like this, there are so many opportunities. But the important thing is we need to ask ourselves, have I understood myself yet? What value can I bring? What are my strengths and weaknesses? What development opportunities does the industry I'm working in have? And how will I leverage them in the coming time? All those questions you yourselves will need to answer. San reiterates once again that no one can make better choices for you than yourself. Others might inspire you, they might give you a few perspectives, but the person who understands you best is still yourself. And don't wait for anyone to come and make you rich, don't wait for anyone to give you opportunities. It won't happen. You yourself will need to delve deep into yourself, delve deep into the world around you, and make the right choices. Because making the right choice is more important than hard work. And what about you all? Do you think your current choice is the right one? And if it's wrong, how will you choose again? San really hopes that this podcast episode will be helpful to you in some way. We will meet again in the next podcast episodes. Thank you all very much, and I wish you a good night.